Hello, everyone. I'm your instructor, Dr. Stacy Gilpin, and I'm excited to be teaching this course. I wanted to provide a short overview for you to educational psychology. So I am here in our course in D2L. So I'm going to go to home to show you how I got in here. And in a second, perhaps we will see our courses. There we go. Zoom kind of bogs things down. Okay, educational psychology. And then I go up to content, and I have this panel on the left that shows you everything that's going on in our course. And I want to view as a student. I popped out of that for some reason when I was messing around here. And here we are. So you can see right now that I'm in the overview. We have our table of contents if you want to be able to see everything that we have. And then we have our frequently asked questions. I put this here. It's at the beginning. I wouldn't look at it first. It probably won't make a lot of sense. I just didn't want it to get buried as we start to have more modules populate and things like that. I wanted you to be able to get to it quickly and easily. So here it is. So after you look over the welcome to class materials, which I'll tell you about in a moment, then I would suggest that you go ahead and just go through the FAQ2 as kind of a refresher, and then you can refer back there. And as additional questions come up and clarification throughout the semester, I will definitely keep this updated and let you know. So let's go to welcome to class. That's where you're going to go next. So this class, it's really exciting for me to teach because I was one of the co-authors on the textbook that we'll be using for the class. And what's really cool about the textbook is it's an open educational resource. And so that means that it's free and accessible to you and anyone else that wants to use it. And so I'll show you the link in a moment for you to get to the text. So nothing to buy, nothing to purchase. I think it's great. And what's also really cool is in this textbook, when we designed it, I think there were 3 or 4 of us, we'll see, I can't remember anymore. So a couple of years ago, we designed it specifically for who would be the end users, who would be the people that would be taking the classes. And so I think you'll really enjoy the text. Something that's unique about this course, maybe compared to others that you've taken, is I run my courses that are 16 weeks long in 8 2-week modules. And then the final module is a little bit longer. The reason I do this is because it's a management thing. Honestly, for me and for students, I have taken many, many, many online courses over the years. And I have found when I'm taking a 16-week course and I have 16 weeks of different things to do, it feels overwhelming. But if it's all the same amount of work, but it's condensed into 8 weeks, 8 2-week modules, so I have 2 weeks to work on everything. It's not that we're going to be covering any less or any more content. We're just doing it in a way that I have found is more manageable, especially for busy working folks and for people that are taking multiple classes. So we have 8 modules that I'll be talking about. Each module lasts 2 weeks, and I'll explain a little bit about how that works as we go on here. I set up some materials to really set you up for success, since that's what this How to Get Started section is about. And so you have a pre-course setup, a tips checklist, a syllabus, a course schedule. So we have some case studies in this class that you'll be picking one, and then assessment materials and rubrics. So those materials are down here. They're all linked PDFs. I would download them systematically. I would put them into a folder on your desktop, and this pre-course setup tips document is a checklist for you to go through, and it talks about all this. If I'm just going to print off anything, the syllabus, I'll be honest with you, I do the syllabus because I have to. The document that I find most useful is the course overview and schedule. And I create this because I, as an instructor, sometimes forget if I'm teaching multiple courses what's going on. And I also want it for you all to have a kind of like a one-stop resource for like what's everything about in this course. So this talks about, the big project that runs through our entire course, some due dates. It talks about peer collaboration and feedback, our discussion boards, and here's the course schedule. And so each module has their own page. And here's a link to our OER textbook. Let's see if it'll take you there. Yep, here we are. And you can click read book. It'll take you right into it. For those of you let's see, I lost my toolbar here. Just one moment. Got a lot of things going here. I'm going to go back. Yeah. We're gonna go. If you wanted to download this book, here's some different options for you. If you want to use screen readers and different things like that, you should be able to have the version that you want. I'll be honest with you, this book it's best to read it online, especially if you want to be able to see the videos and click. There's lots of links and things. If you're a person that really likes to have a paper copy, just know that you might want to also have the e-copy open. So when there's videos and links and things, you can also engage that way. And to get started, you can just hit read the book, like I said. Okay, let's move back. See if it continues to work out. So you'll also notice on each page, so here's for the module 1, our first module, not only do you have a link to the readings, and here's specifically the chapters, then it'll tell you, like, we have a project that's going to run the entire span of the course. So instead of having an assignment due at the end of each module, we'll be working on parts of a larger project, and we'll be chunking it and doing little components. We'll be sharing those on the discussion board and getting feedback from your peers and from me. You learn a lot, especially when you're at this stage where you're newer to education, maybe newer to school, and you don't have a lot of context and a lot of ideas and things. It can feel kind of isolating sitting there at your computer trying to figure it out on your own. So this is a place for you to kind of kick the tires, so to speak, and you can throw out drafts, throw out, ideas, get feedback and things in an environment that's safe. And I'm not going to give you any grades besides, did you engage in the discussion board like you were supposed to, yes or no, each week. I'm going to give you feedback. And then at the end of the course, as long as you've continued to grow and you submit the project components as outlined, you're likely going to get full credit. This isn't about a thing where we're going to do a bunch of quizzes or tests and it's like, I got you sort of thing. It's come in here, you're going to learn and grow and engage with your peers. And the learning and growing won't be done when you're done with this course, if that makes sense. So the project component for each week is listed here, and we'll get more into the project in a moment here. You'll post your drafts to the discussion board, and then, like I said, print this one off because you can take notes at the bottom as you're doing the readings, ideas, things that you might want to mention on the discussion board and things. It's just a nice place, especially if you're maybe working and over your lunch hour or something, you want to do a little bit of reading. Here's just a sheet you can take with you. You take notes and you're good to go for when you might come back later and do more work. Okay, nonetheless, I download everything here, print off the setup tips, and I go through that systematically and make sure that you do everything. Print out the course overview and schedule. The rest of the things here, I would say you can download them and have them on your desktop, readily accessible, but I don't know that you need to have printed copies. I'm going to pop back up for a second now. Getting to know you activity. This is just something privately between you and I. It's not graded. You can read about it there, and here's where you can go ahead and submit it. Please do that by September 1st. Our first 2-week module doesn't end then, but go ahead, and that's something easy you can do even, before the course really gets going. It'll help me begin to learn who you all are, and also things that you need. A little bit about your history and things so that I can further tailor the course to meet your needs. So if you're not familiar with working in D2L, you've read this assignment over, you want to do it, you click Getting to Know You, and you have several options for submitting. For this one, honestly, I would probably just go down and type in the text box here and then hit submit when it lets you. If it'll let you do that, which is a good question. Otherwise, you can, type in a Word document and upload it. You can record your voice, whatever works for you. It's not a big deal. That's what I want you to remember. Okay. So then let's go back up to project components built throughout the semester. Okay, so I told you a little bit earlier that this course is centered on a semester-long project that you will develop step by step. So in each module, you'll draft a portion of the project, share your work on the discussion boards, and receive feedback from both your peers and myself. Then by the end of the semester, you'll integrate all components into a polished final project submission. So everything you create in this course will connect back to the learner you select from the case study collection below. So think of this project as following one student's journey from start to finish. Each step you complete will add new layers to their story and deepen your understanding as a future educator. So as a way, so you might say, some of you might say, well, I'm working in a school now, can I pick a student there? I would love to do that, and I've taught this course at the graduate levels when we have there's so many hoops you need to go through to be able to do that I don't want to overcomplicate things. Um, so also this way, I've provided you all the information that you should need about different students. And it's not going to be like you're going to have to go and be searching out information from families and teachers and things because we get into all sorts of confidentiality things there. So for this course, I know it's not as authentic as it possibly could be, but I think this is a move in the right direction, is you're applying all of your learnings to one student that you get to pick, okay? I'll show you where you pick those from in a moment. So your case study project includes 4 interconnected parts. We'll work on chunks. Each module, by the end, it's really just fine-tuning things and putting it together and submitting. So a student profile, these numbers in parentheses are approximate. I'm not someone that worries about word count, or I'm not going to go and count the pages or all that sort of stuff. Worry about your font. I'm going to be looking at, like, did you do what you needed to do for different sections? So student profile is a comprehensive developmental analysis of your chosen learner, integrating cognitive, social, emotional, environmental factors. Your support strategy plan, complete lesson with assessment, and brief presentation at the end. You'll share it all in a short 5-minute sort of video, or there'll be some other options perhaps, and we'll look at that as we get going in the course. You'll share that on the discussion board asynchronously for feedback once again, and you'll also submit that to me. So this project here, you'll do bits and pieces each week, submit on the discussion board for feedback, keep revising, and then the final project is due on December 17th. So you're going to basically, let me go back here and say this in a better way. You're going to be submitting written materials for these 3 different sections, and then you'll at the very end create it into about a 5-minute presentation. And part of the reason that we're doing that is so you get used to presenting in a really clear and concise way information about a student, because when you work in special education, you're going to be in meetings, you're going to be in different sorts of collaborative settings where you're in a very short amount of time going to have to kind of give all the key information to a team of people that are looking to support that student about what's going on. So it's it's just a really good way for you to start to practice that. Okay. So within the course overview and schedule, it talks more about this project. And each week, I'm going to say, this is what you need to do. So it's not like you need to be worrying about, what am I missing? Am I getting behind? As long as you follow what we're doing in each week's discussion board and revise your projects, you're going to be fine at the end, okay? So the case study collection, we have 30 case studies in here. And I can't remember how many are in this class, but I think that we're in the 20s, so we should be good. And so I'd go ahead and read through the information. Here's an overview of each of the case study students, and you pick whatever student is of interest to you. If you have experience, working with younger students and you want to keep going on that track, you're like, no, I've been working with younger students for a while, I want to try older. It's really up to you. But you're going to use this document here to get a gist of who's out there, who's available, and then you're going to go ahead and pick one. And that will be the same case study you'll be working on all semester. Now, students, I don't want anyone to have the same case study. We're going to have much richer discussions if each of us is bringing a different student to the table, right? To the discussion boards. So first come, first serve for the case studies. And you might be wondering, well, how do I do this sort of case study thing? Well, I will go ahead then, and I will move on to Module 1, where you will do that. And so here's Module 1. I've opened it up for you just a little bit early. So you've got your outcomes, you've got your readings for this week, you've got your student profile, right? So I was just showing you the case study document. You're going to claim your case study student, and you're going to do introductions. And it's all going to be on the discussion board, okay? So you're going to review the case study collection I just showed you. Choose one student that you'd like to focus on for your semester project, the entire semester. post your student's first and last name in this week's discussion forum. So let's say it's tomorrow morning, it's 9 o'clock, you just pulled this up and you're scanning through it and you say, oh my gosh, I want this case study student, but I'm not ready to do anything else in this week's discussion. That's okay, it's first come, first serve. So you go ahead, go down to our discussion board, click on it, start a thread, and just say, I have chosen case study number 1 and the name of the student. I'll be back, I'll share more information later this week. Done, okay? If you're worried about getting a particular student, if you're not worried about it, then don't worry. So then another thing I want you to do in this week's discussion board is introduce yourself, your name, a little about yourself, why you're taking this course, what you hope to get out of it. You're gonna start to build some community. And then I also want you eventually, before our 2 weeks is over, to describe your student's basic developmental profile, apply 1 cognitive theory to your student, identify 2 to 3 specific learning strengths and challenges, and connect explicitly to school impact with concrete examples. So you might be wondering, well, how am I going to approach this? What I would do is pick your case study student, read about them, take some notes, do some highlighting, probably print off. I would say have a hard copy of your student. You don't need them all. And then I would also have these questions beside me. And as I'm reading these chapters in our e-text, I would be making connections to my student from what I'm reading. Then when you're finished, you should already have some notes about your student's, basic developmental profile, a cognitive theory. You should have notes about these. And then it's a matter of putting these into some sentences and formulating it and sharing it on this discussion board and refining it. And so, you may not have, your complete 2 pages, because this is just part 1 of the student profile. And we said it's totally 4. We're doing part of it this week, but that's okay. By, the end of the 2 weeks, I'd hope you're close, but you can keep working on this until the end of the semester too. So a little bit more of an example about like the general timelines and requirements so you can get into a rhythm for the discussion boards. I'm not one that's punitive about discussions. If you don't have it up by, Wednesday of week 1, you're going to lose points or whatever. But because I understand how that goes, and I have been on the student side of that many times, and I know how stressful that can be when you have lots of things going on in your life, and you literally can't control sometimes that you can't get a post up, right? Especially during the work week. So I put this out there for you, and if you can do your best to follow it, it's going to make the discussions more useful for you and for your peers. So think of it this way. Try to get part 1 up by the first Wednesday. Okay, so what is part 1 this week? It is up here, I would say, it would be choosing your student, getting their name out there and introducing yourself. I would say that's part 1, do that by Wednesday. Okay, then kind of, part 2. So then by Sunday, provide feedback to at least 2 classmates just on what they have for part 1. Then get part 2 up by the 2nd Wednesday. So not this Wednesday, but the following Wednesday, then get your part 2 up. And so post part 2 of your draft work or revisions and provide feedback to at least 2 additional peers. So this week, it would be getting this stuff out there, a first draft of it out there, at least by next Wednesday. And then by that Friday, respond to the feedback you've received on your post. Provide some peers some other feedback. If you can engage, the first Wednesday with your post, by the first Sunday, feedback to a couple of peers. The 2nd Wednesday, post some more of your work that you're doing, revisions that you've been doing, and things like that. And we'll get into a flow as we move into weeks that aren't the first week of a class. And then by Friday, maybe provide some more feedback to peers, or, like I said, respond to feedback you've received on your posts, ask additional questions, things like that. So here we go. And I also break it down a little bit more here. And here it talks a little bit about more what to share in your posts when you're posting drafts of your work. And then like, what do you say? What do you give back as feedback, right? And I'll be active and I'll model that for some of you and share examples and things like that. But offer suggestions with kindness and respect, highlight strengths as well as areas for growth. Ask thoughtful questions. share resources or ideas. I think that's where, when I've taught classes like this before, that's what students appreciate the most, is brainstorming and getting other ideas and things like that. And remember, we're all working and learning together. Okay, so in a nutshell, that's what we're going to be rinse and repeating each of our modules. So we're module 1, module 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and module 8's a little bit longer and a little different. That's what we're going to be doing. I think it's going to be a great course. One thing that I did want to mention that I talked about, but maybe I didn't explain it well enough, was when in the readings in the ebook, there's videos and things like that. That's why I don't have any other videos or things embedded within our course, is because when we wrote this textbook, we wanted to make it so that you're not going back and forth and watching this video in D2L and then reading out of that article and that article there, right? That's for the materials for the course in general. If you go to the ebook, you click right here, and everything is there that you need. Occasionally, I will share things, but it's not going to be one of those things where you have materials coming from 15 different places, right? Okay, well, I'm sure I missed something. Please feel free to email me. I posted when my office hours are. Usually the best way to get a hold of me is via email. I'm really quick on that. If you can't make office hours, that's okay. We can set up another time to meet. Just be a little bit patient with me because this is not my full-time job. Sarah Toland, who is on, usually teaches these classes, and she's on sabbatical. She's a good friend of mine, and I'm covering for her. And as you'll see in the background, I run a small business, Rural Pathways, and we are a consulting firm. So that's my full-time job. So anyway, I'll continue to keep you posted on things. Modules will generally be available the weekend before the Monday that they start. Oh, one more thing I should say is, like, on the modules, you'll see that this one is due September 5th at 11:59, but it ends on September 8th. Well, September 5th is a Friday. I usually always have them end on a Friday, as far as being due on a Friday, but they'll be open until the next Monday. The reason I do that is because we've got 2-week modules. I'd like you to set for a goal for yourself to be done on the second Friday, so then you're not working every weekend, all weekend, okay? If you can't, that's okay. You'll be able to submit things until Monday, the 8th at noon. And honestly, I probably won't do a lot of inputting of feedback and things into D2L until then anyway. But just so you know, you might say, well, why are things due on a Friday and then it ends on a Monday? It's a soft deadline. Ultimately, everything is due when the module ends. And so you won't be able to, after the end date and time, submit anything else without contacting me, and then I can open it for you again and things like that. Okay. So once again, welcome to class, and I look forward to meeting you all and getting to know you soon.